All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to break down a word that you hear all the time, a word that can shake up financial markets and, more importantly, change millions of lives. We're talking about recession.
You've heard it, right? It's all over the news, it's in the headlines, and it usually comes with this sense of doom and gloom. But what does it actually mean for the economy to be in a recession? Is it just a fancy word for when things are bad? Well, let's really get into it.
Okay, so first things first. We need to get the definition right. And we're going to go way beyond the simple sound bites you hear on TV to see what economists are really looking at. Now, this is the official definition from the group that actually makes the call in the US, the National Bureau of Economic Research, or NBER. And the keywords here are what really matter: significant, spread across, and lasting. So a recession isn't just one bad jobs report or one industry having a tough time. Nope. It's got to be a downturn that's deep, wide, and sticks around for a while.
Now, you've probably heard the easy rule of thumb, right? 2 quarters in a row where the economy shrinks. It's simple, it's popular, and it's easy to track. But the official way, the NBR method, is much more like a doctor giving a full diagnosis. They don't just check your temperature, they look at everything: jobs, income, how much stuff we're making. It's way more thorough. But there's a catch. It means they often can't officially say we're in a recession until we're, well, already deep inside of one.
And here's a really key point to grasp. Recessions aren't some kind of freak accident. They're actually a normal, if pretty painful, part of what's called the business cycle. Think of it like breathing. Economies expand, they grow and grow, they hit a peak, and then they contract. That contraction part, that's the recession. Then they hit a bottom, a trough, and the whole cycle starts over again. All right, so if this is a natural cycle, that begs the million-dollar question. What actually causes it? What pushes us over the peak and into that downturn? And as you can probably guess, economists have some very, very different ideas about that. So you've basically got 2 heavyweight champions in the ring here. On one side, you have Keynesian theory. It says recessions happen when everybody, people, businesses, suddenly stop spending money. The whole system just seizes up. The fix? The government has to jump in and start spending to get the ball rolling again. But on the other side, you've got the monetarists. They say, hold on, it's not about spending, it's about the money supply. They argue that if the central bank messes up and makes money too scarce or too expensive, it chokes the life out of the economy.
Okay, let's make this real. Let's look at the big one, the 2008 Great Recession. This is a classic case study. It all started with the housing market bubble popping. But the real dynamite was all these super complex financial products tied to those bad mortgages. When Lehman Brothers finally went bankrupt, that wasn't the cause of the crisis, it was the match that lit the fuse, sparking a massive global panic that literally froze the entire banking system.
And this leads to this really counterintuitive, kind of mind-bending idea from an economist named Hyman Minsky. He said that long periods of everything going great, of stability and prosperity, actually plant the seeds for the next crisis. It's because when times are good, people forget about risk. Lenders get lazy, borrowers take on too much debt, and the whole system becomes incredibly fragile, just waiting for a little nudge to send it all crashing down.
Of course, it's not always about complicated finance. Recessions can be kicked off by all sorts of things. You could have a sudden supply shock, like when oil prices went through the roof in the 70s, or an asset bubble popping, like the dot-com bust in 2001. Sometimes policymakers just make a mistake. And then there are massive external shocks, things completely out of left field, like a global pandemic. And sometimes it's just about fear. If enough people get scared and stop spending, that fear can actually create the very recession they were afraid of. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So, when the economy is in a nosedive, how do we pull it back up? Are we just helpless? Well, no. Luckily, policymakers have a whole toolkit they can use to fight back and try to get things growing again.
Think of it like a 2-pronged attack. First, you've got the central bank and its monetary policy. That's their playbook. They can slash interest rates to make it cheaper for you and me to borrow money for a car or a house, trying to get us spending again. Then you've got the government with its fiscal policy. This is more direct. They can send out stimulus checks, cut taxes, or fund massive infrastructure projects, basically pumping cash right into the economy's veins to create jobs. But here's the crucial thing. Not all recoveries are created equal. The best case scenario is what they call a V-shape, a sharp drop, but then a really fast bounce back. But sometimes you get a U-shape, where the economy just bumps along the bottom for a long, painful time before it starts to climb back up. And more, we're talking about a K-shaped recovery.
This is where some people, usually wealthier people in big companies, rebound and soar, while at the very same time, other parts of the economy, often lower-income workers, just keep falling. One group goes up, the other goes down, just like the letter K.
And that K-shape brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important part of this entire conversation. Because behind all the charts, all the jargon, all the percentages, recessions have a very real and very painful human cost.
Just to put the absolute worst-case scenario in perspective, look at the Great Depression. At its worst, the unemployment rate hit 25%. 1 out of every 4 people who wanted a job could not find one. It was a level of economic devastation that is almost impossible for us to imagine today.
And don't think this is just ancient history. Just look at the COVID-19 recession in 2020. The US economy lost 22 million jobs in just 2 months. The sheer speed of that collapse was something we had never, ever seen before.
And the recovery isn't instant. The damage lingers for a long, long time. In fact, research shows that after a big banking crisis, like the one in 2008, it can take 5 or even 6 years for the job market to truly heal. That's a huge chunk of someone's life.
And this is maybe one of the most brutal parts of a recession, something economists call the scarring effect. Here's how it works. If you're unlucky enough to graduate from college or high school right in the middle of a recession, studies show you can end up earning less money for a decade or even longer. It can literally change the entire trajectory of your career and your financial life just because of bad timing.
Okay, so that's the past and the present. But what about the future? What new challenges are out there, on the horizon, that could trigger the recessions of tomorrow?
Well, economists are looking at a few huge potential risks. For one, there's rising inequality. If more and more wealth is concentrated at the very top, that could make overall consumer spending, the engine of our economy, a lot more fragile. Then there's climate change. You've got the physical damage from extreme weather, but also the huge economic shifts needed to move to a greener economy. And of course, the big one, AI and automation. The big question there is, will we lose jobs to machines faster than we can create new ones? So, when you really get down to it, a recession is like a giant stress test for our society. It doesn't just measure GDP, it reveals our priorities. It shows us all the cracks in the system and exposes, very clearly, who our economy is truly working for. So the final and most important question we have to ask ourselves isn't just, how do we stop the next recession? It's, how do we build a recovery that truly works for everyone?